Okay, so we're gonna look into this. Okay, Randall teaching his students on how to interact with the police.
How you doing, sir?
Doing good.
Coach Mark Frank with Albany Police Department.
First thing I want to do is already have my stuff ready, okay?
Yes, sir.
You don't want to get to the freaking car, and when he gets to the car, and you got to go fumbling around looking for stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Why don't we want to fumble around looking for stuff?
Okay.
Exactly, they're going to feel unsafe, you understand?
Yes,
So
sir.
regardless of whether they should or shouldn't feel unsafe, that makes somebody feel unsafe, you fumbling around, because things happen, right?
Yes, sir.
So when they get there, the first thing you want to do is already have your license ready and have your hands on the steering wheel, you understand?
Yes, sir.
Have your hands on the steering wheel, why?
Because before they don't think you reach for nothing.
So you're not reaching for stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. And another thing I want to do, I'm going to let all my windows down, okay? I ain't got nothing to hide, right?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to let all my windows down in the car. And if it's nighttime, I'm going to turn the car light on so he can see everything in the car, right?
Yes, sir.
Why am I doing that?
For he don't think you trying to hide nothing or somebody trying to hide something for you.
Exactly. Everybody feels safe, right?
Yes, sir.
So we already started the stop off great. He probably in a good mood that I done let the window down. I done turned the lights on. He probably in a better mood now, right?
Yes,
All
sir.
right, so boom. He going to come to the car? Yes, sir. All right, cool. So he gonna get my license. He may or may not go back to the car, which they usually do. They're gonna basically check your name, see if you got any warrants, if your license suspended, blah blah blah. But you sit tight and just wait for him to finish. Good?
Yes,
All
sir.
right, cool. He's coming back, bring my license. He's probably gonna give me a ticket for not having my seatbelt on. Now, what's the wrong thing to do if I'm getting pulled over and he come up to the car?
Run.
Nah, what run? We're not gonna run. And what's another thing we're not gonna do?
Talk
back, cussing, talking smack, all that stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
We're not doing none of that number if we get pulled over. We're not talking smack, we're not cussing, we're not telling them what our rights is, blase, blase, blah. We're not doing none of that, you understand?
Yes, sir.
We're trying to get home, and he trying to get home, cool?
Yes,
So
sir.
we're just trying to make sure everybody stays safe, because if we start talking smack, now what if he decided not to give me a ticket because I was being cool and I let my windows down and all that, right?
Yes, sir.
But if I decide to, well, I had my seatbelt on, I just took it off when you came up here. He gonna get upset, right?
Yes,
Because
sir.
he know you lying. So the best thing to do, also when you get pulled over, is to tell the truth, right?
Yes, sir.
Another thing you don't want to do, if you look inside my truck right there, what I got like on my windshield right there,
Headlight.
it's a dash cam. It's a dash cam. You don't want to, if you can encourage your mama, or whenever you get a license, you want to make sure that you have a dash cam in your vehicle as a second precaution. So for insurance purposes, get in an accident, you want to have an inside and an outside dash cam. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Make sure you keep that in your vehicle. We good?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now let's say he has to pull me out the car.
So could you step out the car for me?
Is there a reason I need to step out the car?
License came back suspended. So could you step out the car for me?
Okay. Your license come back to suspended, you guys step out the car. I'm not gonna be like, oh well, ain't no way. No. Just go ahead and do it. Good?
Yes, sir.
Why we ain't arguing with him?
Because he will literally.
We gonna make him mad. We might just escalate the stop. You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. The license could be suspended. Now he can say he smelled marijuana, right?
Yes, sir.
If he says he smelled marijuana, there is nothing that you can do about it. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Get out the car. You understand?
Yes, sir.
If he say he smelled weed, just get out. We're not fussing and fighting on the side of the road. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So have there been situations where people have done everything absolutely right and something still happened? Sure, but is that happening all the time? No, that's not happening every day. That's not happening every time somebody get pulled over. Most people have a basic stop every day, just like this, where they get pulled over, they take their ticket, and they go on by their day. You understand?
Yes,
So
sir.
don't let nobody make you feel scared of the cops or anything like that, but you also want to make sure you take the proper precautions so you still have a good stop. You understand?
Yes,
And
sir.
of course, the best way to not have to interact with the police is what? Not break the law, right?
Yes, sir.
Don't be speeding, put your seatbelt on. Don't be riding with your cell phone in your hand. All that stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Like I said, if you get pulled over and you truly don't know, he probably gonna tell you already. And if he don't, just ask him why you getting pulled over. Cool?
Yes,
All
sir.
right, so that's how we're gonna keep that real simple. That's the easiest way to keep the stop simple, to make sure everybody's safe, make sure you safe, and make sure everybody get back home to their family. We good?
Yes, sir.
In a nutshell, everything that Mr. Randall told y'all was pretty jam up, okay?
Yes,
One thing
sir.
you want to make an officer feel is safe. All right, that's the key, because that's what I feel. That's my key to going home, is being safe, okay?
Yes,
Just
sir.
like you want to get home, we want to get home. And I tell everyone, listen, once you're pulled over by the cops, all right, prime example with your license, right? You see how quick he gave me his license, all right? When you turn 16, you're gonna be super happy to get your license, right?
Yes, sir.
So why when you want to show him to me, right?
Yes, sir.
Makes sense, right? Oh yeah,
Yes,
here you
sir.
go, Officer Franklin. Let me show you my license. Man, I got my license. I'm jammed up. I'm good. All right. It's a way of keeping us from doing a lot of stuff. How you doing, sir? It's a way of keeping yourself safe and keeping us on our toes. Okay.
Yes,
I'm one
sir.
of those officers that I'm big on honesty. You know, sometimes I may write a ticket. Most of the times I may not. You know, if you know you're doing something wrong, just go ahead and admit it, so we can get everything on rolling and get you on about your business. Okay.
Yes, sir.
the part about putting your hands on the steering wheel, making your hands visible, that's one of the biggest issues that we have. All right, just put your hands on the steering wheel and you can talk to me like this, right? That's not asking you to do too much, all right? It's just asking you to, that way we don't have to worry about you reaching to get some, or if we tell you, hey, could you give me your license and your wallet is on the seat? Hey, Officer Franklin, I'm gonna grab my wallet off the seat, all right, man, go ahead. Now you're not old enough to do this, but once you get to the point where you have a weapon in the car, I always let an officer know you got a weapon. Every time. Hey, listen, hey, Officer Franklin, I'm a police officer. When I get pulled over, because we as officers do get pulled over, the first thing I say is, hey, how you doing? I do have a weapon in the car. And most of them will say, okay, you got a license for that? Yeah, I got a license for that. And sometimes I show them a badge. Sometimes I say, hey, I'm a police officer. I got a weapon in the car, so that they know and they understand. And I'll tell them where it's at. Hey, man, it's over there in that seat, or it's under my seat, or it's in the glove compartment. That way they'll know. That way if you reach in that area, then they got a reason to feel nervous, all right? But if they already know, and you already got your hands up, you don't have to worry.
Yeah, and I personally, every time I let an officer know I had a weapon, they usually don't bother you. They don't be like, oh, let me see your license. No, they just be like, all right, bet. And usually what I do, if I have my firearm in the car, while I'm getting pulled over, I put it in the passenger seat so they can see it when they get there. So that way I'm like, hey, weapon over there. And sometimes I don't really have to say much because they already see it, So I just try to make it visible so we already have an understanding of we all trying to feel safe. And if a police officer pull up to your car and you done already let all the windows down and turn the light on, you already starting it off in a great mood.
You've eliminated a lot of questions.
Yep.
You've also eliminated me having to pull out this little flashlight right here and shine it all in your car and do all this extra stuff that you don't like me doing anyway, okay? So if the lights are already on, I'm gonna just look and, okay, cool. I can see who's in the back seat, see what they got going on. I can see everybody in the car, so you've eliminated that. 2 words I want y'all to, or 3 words I want y'all to remember. Get home safe.
Get home safe.
I see nothing wrong with this video that people may have a problem with. I don't see anything wrong with this. All I see is King Randall doing his job to help these young boys be able to get out alive out of interacting with the police one day when they turn 16 and they're on the road with their car and with their driver's license. I don't see anything wrong. Now let's see how Lucas talked about this. It's the dangerous thing about narratives. All right, let's get into it. Fair use.
Video. What he's done is he's had a school where he teaches, black boys and underprivileged children about, changing the tire on a car, basic car mechanics, how to replace a toilet, things like that. Really great stuff. But in this recent video, this is where he loses my support. And it seems that he's gotten a bunch of flack for his video, and I would argue rightfully so. What this video pertains to is how to handle a traffic stop. And he talks from the sense of you being a slave. Now, as you guys know, I went from a bootlicking to one extent to very much pro citizen. And that's where I am right now, based off of the hypocrisy I saw with the right and how they, addressed, an Ashley Babbitt, but then tried to vilify George Floyd and things like that. Just this hypocrisy of whether the person was a criminal or a hero based off the color of their skin. Whether they chose to acknowledge it or not, that's what it very much was. He says in the video, hey, you should put your hands out, 10 and 2, always have your ID out. And he's asked the kids, why do you have your ID out? Why should you have your ID out? And the kids are like, I don't know. He's like, fidgeting, because you don't want the officers to feel uncomfortable when you fidget.
First thing I want to do is already have my stuff ready, okay?
Yes, sir.
You don't want to get to the freaking car, and when he gets to the car, you got to go fumbling around looking for stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Why don't we want to fumble around looking for stuff? Exactly, they're going to feel unsafe, you understand?
Yes, sir.
Regardless of whether they should or shouldn't feel unsafe, that makes somebody feel unsafe, you fumbling around, because things happen, right?
Yes, sir.
So
I'm like, that's strike one. First off, I don't give a damn how the officers feel, okay? I am a United States American citizen. That's what I am. I'm an American citizen.
Okay, that's great and all, but we deal with, you don't know what type of cops are that you have walking the street. You could have a cop that's, regular, just want to do his job and go home. And then you have a cop that could be a white supremacist and looking for an excuse to kill a black man. Okay? So yeah, you're gonna have to care. All right, you're gonna have to care. That's just the reality of the America that we live in. All right, they still look at us like slaves, and we have to try to find a way to fight to get around this. We just be cooperative, and that's that. To try and get home alive. That's the main goal. So you're trying to do what is proper, what is the procedure. So hopefully to avoid getting in that situation. I'm saying you're an American citizen, but you understand that the fact of the matter is that it's open season on us. I don't know what to say about Lucas. I mean, I just think maybe this video is just purely a grift. Okay, to just feed into the blacks that just want a right to just curse out officers and feel justified. I don't give a damn about how you feel. Well, you better, because he has a gun that could take you away from your friends and family. So yeah, we unfortunately, yeah, we do have to care.
And upon being on this land, I have certain rights. You feeling uncomfortable has nothing to do with what I legally can and can't do. Now, I hear what you're saying. Well, what you're doing is giving an officer, leeway to pow. Listen, we've already seen a litany of examples of officers doing exactly that without having without being agitated. So I don't want to hear that as an excuse, and that's an excuse that these saltine racists on the right constantly use to validate black victims, to validate black death. And I'm not going to promote that. And I sure as hell is not going to say that to a bunch of black youth. I think this is damaging and extremely problematic. But let's continue. Then he goes on to say that, hey, as a matter of fact, I'm going to roll the windows down because I got nothing to hide.
When they get there, the first thing you want to do is already have your license ready and have your hands on the steering wheel. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Have your hands on the steering wheel. Why?
Because before they don't think you reach for nothing.
So you're not reaching for stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. And another thing I want to do, I'm going to let all my windows down, okay? I ain't got nothing to hide, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to let all my windows down in the car. And if it's nighttime, I'm going to turn the car light on so he can see everything in the car, right?
Yes, sir.
Why am I doing that?
But he don't think you trying to hide nothing or somebody trying to hide something for you.
That's strike number 2, player.
Are you serious? Are you serious? You showing them you have nothing to hide. All right. What else do you want? You want them to? What do you want, Lucas? What exactly do you want? Like I said, you can't be acting big and bad and giving an attitude to these people that could take your life and have an excuse in this white supremacist society. You show them you don't have, you have nothing to hide. Also, have a recording device in the car. Once again, it's like blacks in this country, you want to act big and bad, and you be saying like how you've been discriminated against, but you don't want to play it smart.
That's strike number 2. I don't have to roll the windows down to prove that I have nothing to hide, because as we've seen, here's the thing. The problem is you had an officer alongside you, and you should have had an attorney. That's what you should have had, because you are training these black youth to be slaves. That's what you are training.
No, he's training them to be smart and to live another day, Lucas.
Them to be. And that is extremely problematic in a country that we want to say is free, in a country that we have rights as citizens. Doing all of this is not going to change their opinion of you. This is very much akin to respectability politics. Whereas, hey, if you just talk like this and dress like that and behave like this, well, then they wouldn't call you the N-word. Well, then they would serve you at the whites only diner. Well, then they wouldn't, pew pew you. Well, then no. That is bull crap, and history has taught us time and time and time and again that is a false narrative. That is a false flag. That is something they give to us to make us once again slaves in our own country. You rolling up the windows has nothing to do with anything. That officer, if that officer thinks you have something, he can simply say, as he says in the video, I smell marijuana. And out you go. Or they can have a dog say, hey, you can't search my car. They have a dog and they get, that's where we are in this country. That's the problem. The problem is not the citizen. The problem is law enforcement.
Yeah, it's law enforcement. And that's why you have to play it smart if you want to get out of it alive. Saying, I don't have to roll my windows down when you know the social climate in this country, especially in the South. You're asking for trouble. What happened with Sandra Bland when she was mouthing off to that cop? Did the cop tremble in fear, or did he body slam her? And then she ended up at the police station, and for some reason, she ended up passing away. How'd that work out? How'd that work out with Philando Castile when his girlfriend couldn't keep her mouth shut in that tense situation where the cop had a gun pointed at Philando Castile? A cop that really shouldn't be on the force, but unfortunately he was still working after that incident. If she kept calm, cool, and collective and kept her mouth shut instead of running it off like a bloody idiot, maybe Philando Castile will be alive today. I saw the body cam footage. I saw the video. It could have ended a lot differently if his girlfriend would have shut up. The whole time Philando Castile was trying to de-escalate the situation, she's running her mouth. Sometimes you got to learn. Sometimes you have to learn to just think. You just have to keep your mouth shut. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to comply. And also in that situation, you have to better damn well know the type of friends you have before you let them in your vehicle or you get in their vehicle. Or get into a cab. I know a friend of mine, he was coming home late from work. He had an instinct that this cabbie was not trustworthy. But he wanted to go home bad, so he just said, fine, let me just take this cab. Not many cabs come around, I'll take this cab. The cab gets pulled over by the police, only to find out that person was not driving with a driver's license. He was driving with a learner's permit. And with a learner's permit, you could only be out a certain amount of hours, okay? And you have to be driving with an adult. This man, a black man, both of them are black. Cab driver driving his mother's car, and the mother's car's muffler. The muffler in his mother's car is damaged. That's why the cops pulled him over. My friend was very angry looking at that kid, and the kid looked at him and said, oh, he pulled me over because I was black. He wanted to go off on that kid, but he just wanted to go home. This is why you have to be extremely careful with the police. Because it's not a game out there. And stupid bravado, pro-black nonsense will get you killed. And I don't care if you think I'm a coon. I really don't. Because most of you out there don't really think with your brains when it comes to these situations at all. You just want to run your mouths, and when things get real, you cry and wonder why things went the way they did. You guys will look up to a man like Umar Johnson, who can't stop sleeping with these random women to save his own life, who's basically been scamming you for 10 to 12 years about getting this school. But you have a person like King Randall, who has a school up and running within 6 months, who's giving advice, and you laugh at him, mock him. Here's another thing. Dr. Umar was trying to have a school for boys at one point. The school is supposed to be for boys at one point. Still haven't gotten it ready. And that's another thing. I wonder if Lucas actually found out about that incident recently, that Dr. Umar was called out by a woman who came to his conference in Atlanta and completely embarrassed him. You'll look at, I don't get it. I don't get it with you guys who are black and you want to follow these clowns. And they're not giving you anything sensible. But when it comes to people like King Randall, you call him a coon, you don't like him, he's a sellout, he's this, he's that. It makes me kind of wonder, you really do, you don't want to be free. You like white supremacy. You like having the boot on your neck. You want to be slaves. You want to, you don't, I dare to say you guys don't really want reparations. Because there's a right way of doing things. And to be quite honest with you, I don't see blacks getting reparations. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. Because you guys want to look to clowns and jokers to guide you. People really have no substance at all. Malcolm X talked about how other cultures, they don't get entertainers or people with no substance to talk about serious political issues that's going on within their community that they need to have addressed. But black people, all of a sudden, they like baseball players, entertainers, people who talk a lot of game, but there's nothing of substance like Umar Johnson to have a voice when it comes to speaking about their issues. Which is clown behavior. So the question is, do blacks who hate on King Randall and blacks with sense, do they really want to be free of white supremacy? Do they really want to be, do they really want advice? Do they really want help? Okay. What about Rayshard Brooks? Okay. Luke is talking about like, oh, I don't have to make the cop comfortable. I don't care if he's nervous. So how did Rayshard Brooks turn out, Lucas? Alcohol way above the average limit. asked to come out, take a breathalyzer test. The man violated his parole. Instead of coming quietly with the cops, he decides to fight the cops and take their taser, run away, and the cops had to, shoot him because one of the cops had to shoot him because Rayshard Brooks wanted to pull the taser and aim it at the cop, which the cop did in self-defense, because if that cop got hit with that taser, he would have been stunned for a good minute. Who knows what Rayshard Brooks would have done to him? So I'm starting to think, I mean, what's the game? What is this with this video? What was the purpose? Was it to just grift to the most ignorant, low IQ, the base part of the black community that just thinks cops are pigs and cops are just no good at all? Was that it?
Is the corruption within these police unions. Then he goes on to say that, hey, when someone says they smell marijuana, well, there's nothing you can do at that point.
Now, he can say he smelled marijuana, right?
Yes, sir.
If he says he smelled marijuana, there's nothing that you can do about it. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Get out the car. You understand?
What I would advocate for him to do is get an attorney. Get an attorney to teach these little youth their rights. To teach them, hey, how to not incriminate yourself. Because the reason why I'm so passionate about this, because I've seen stories like this. I've seen people like this. I've seen people who are, they're innocent and they have been found to be guilty. There are plenty in the prisons of black men who thought just like this, and they are found to be guilty because their words betray them. They thought by explaining everything to the officer, they were going to be fine and dandy. And the next thing they know, every single word they had, they used against them. Law enforcement is not your friend. Yes, you should be fearful when you come across law enforcement because they are given the power to take your life, and they are legally allowed to in 99.9% of cases, unless absolutely egregious, and you can prove it. Aside from their body cam or any type of footage, it is game over in that court system. So teaching these young black boys to say there's nothing you can do, that I would argue that goes against the whole victim mentality, doesn't it? The same thing that these SALT teams want to constantly say, well, that victim, stop being a victim. That's a victim mentality talking about you. There's nothing you can do about it. Absolutely.
What else can you do about it? If they're a crooked cop, I smell marijuana in the car, and there's no marijuana in the car, what else can you do? Let them search the car. Have the dash cam footage ready. Have it recording. Okay, King Randall did say have a dash cam recording device in your car. So what else is there to do, Lucas? You want to fight the cop? Knowing he got a gun? You want the kids to fight a cop? Because you sound like Corin Gaines, how she was telling her 5-year-old son, when you grow up, I want you to fight the cops. I want you to fight the cops. And she was the one who ended up fighting the cops when she came home to her drug-dealing boyfriend and the SWAT team busted in. She's holding her baby son, infant son, toddler. He's a toddler. And she's pointing a shotgun at the lead of the SWAT team. Guess what happened to her, Lucas? She's not here no more. Oh, yeah, and her drug-dealing pookie boyfriend, instead of standing there and defending her, he runs outside with his kid he had with another woman. He runs out the door, Lucas. Fight the cops. Fight the cops. That's what Corin Gaines said. Fight the cops. Fight the cops. Yeah. Right.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What he should be having is these lawyers teaching them, hey, these are your rights. This is how you don't incriminate yourself. Because what these are looking, they're fishing for something. And if they can't find something, they're in a bad mood, they will try and get you on anything. So this is what you say. This is what you don't say. Something like this, you're teaching them to be slaves. That's what you're practically teaching them to do, to be slaves. And you are being a slave in the country. And these officers will take advantage of that. They will take advantage of you not knowing your rights. 110%. Then he comes out and says, strike 3 for me. I think we've already passed strike 3. But then he goes on and says, hey, well, the best way, you want to know the best way to not deal with officers is not commit a crime.
And of course, the best way to not have to interact with the police is what? Not break the law, right?
Yes, sir.
Don't be speeding, put your seatbelt on, don't be riding with your cell phone in your hand.
I beg your pardon.
That's a crime. What was wrong with that? Don't commit a crime, because you have blacks who commit crimes. You know, riding without the seatbelt on. They're on a cell phone driving, and then the cop pull them over. They act like they're innocent when they're not. Again, where's the issue?
I beg your pardon.
Pimping, that is strike 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What are you doing? King Randall, okay? What are you doing? You're not teaching these boys to be kings. You teaching them to act like peasants. A king doesn't act like that. A king does not brainwash your children into being.
A king understands the reality and the nature and what's going on in the world. A king understands that I'm in a racist society. And I'm trying to stay alive. I'm trying to teach my kids to stay alive. How to try to avoid a bullet. If they can. Because I don't want my kids to. Chris Rock had a joke, and it was real though. He said there's a civil war going on between black people. The blacks and the degenerate blacks. I'm going to put it that way because I don't want to get problems with YouTube. And the degenerate blacks just don't think. I'm going to say it that way. They just don't think. The end goal is to go home. Degenerate blacks, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. I don't have to roll down the rearview mirror. I don't have to put my hands on the steering wheel. My kids are kings. Unless you have your own country, you are not a king. Okay? That's that. You're not royalty. You don't have an army. You don't have a palace. There are black people in America that have race soldiers behind badges. White supremacists behind badges. And you have to think smart. Unless you want to end up on a t-shirt. Like Sandra Bland. Or Philando Castile. But black people, when it came about Sandra Bland and how things went down, you had blacks when you tried to tell them she shouldn't have mouthed off to that cop. She should not have mouthed off to that cop. If you see the amount of blacks who got mad and started cursing the blacks who said that, because in liberal black America, brains don't matter. Tact don't matter. Knowing that the wrong move could have you be taken from this existence, those thoughts don't matter. It's just stupid emotions. No logic. We used to be kings. Kangs. That's what runs some of these low IQ black people. And you think with that attitude, you're going to escape being put on a t-shirt. That's why you got blacks that sometimes, you know what, they don't say nothing. They just move to the suburbs. They don't want to be around other black people who think like this. They just move to the suburbs. There's racism over there too, but they stand up for themselves, try to avoid those people. But they're not going to hang around a bunch of blacks who think that dealing at a traffic stop is by acting the fool, getting aggressive with somebody that could put a few pieces of hot lead in you, and you may end up being crippled, or you just can't, you're not going to be here anymore. That's it.
Being slaves. That's not what a king does. The best way to avoid officers is to not do a crime. Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Lord, this is the problem with many of these right-leaning individuals. Their hearts are in the right direction, but on certain cases, such as law enforcement, they lose their mind. They lose it. Would you tell that to the people of 1776? Y'all love the country. Y'all want to celebrate Independence Day. Well, what happened if those people, right, they had the same mind about the British? Well, I'm just going to do what they say. I'm just going to do what they say. I don't want any problem. What the country was founded off of not bootlicking. And
here's the problem with that. Okay, that was an invasion by the British. Okay? But guess what, Lucas? The blacks helped fighting the British. And what happened? Still slaves. Still looked upon as dirt. It's not the same, Lucas. That's the thing.
There you are. Do you understand? As much y'all love your presidents and everything in this history, these people would be turning in their graves to know that you are teaching children to be slaves of the state. That is asinine. You should be ashamed of yourself, King Randall. And I hear what he said. He's saying, well, I'm going to fight it in court. How are you going to fight it in court? Huh? If you are teaching impoverished kids, what money do they have to fight in court? Anyone who's
These kids are going to grow up to be, when they get 16 years of age to drive a car. Now, here's the thing. It's not their fault that they're born into poverty. It's the parents' fault they were born into poverty. So that responsibility lies on the parents. That's where it lies. It's on the parents, Lucas. Okay? With the Central Park 5, the reason why some of these parents gave in to the demands of these crooked cops is because they were too poor to defend their children properly. It's on the parents, Lucas. It's not the kids' fault. Now I know I'll be called a coon for this, and I don't care because King Randall is trying to use brains to get out of a deadly situation. And I'm so sorry with the liberal black side of the political spectrum can't see that. Because for some reason maybe you guys just want to be bullet bags. Maybe that's it. You guys don't care. You just want to spout off and say things like this. It makes no sense. You guys want to talk about being slaves, but you guys want to go and vote for a political party that says if you're not down with Transformers and Decepticons reading books to kids, you don't get a voice in their party. You want to talk about slaves? You got Joe Biden says when it came to electing him, get your booty to the poll. You guys did not fight then. You guys got to the polls. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. You guys went out and voted. Don't talk about slaves. All right? You guys love slavery. You guys love being slaves. Blacks on the left love being slaves. I am convinced of that. Talk about slaves and you want to fight a war? Like you guys want to fight a race war? Please. Race war been happening. They give you say, oh, you having an abortion, that's the greatest thing. That's empowerment. When it's really just depopulating you, making your numbers small. So if they even were to come at you with a race war with guns, bullets, and people, you can't fight back. You don't about to talk about fighting a race war, but you have a problem when you guys can't stand up to the political machine and say, look, we're not going to have Planned Parenthood in our neighborhoods. You want to talk about fighting a race war? Talk about that. Talk about, you know what? We're not going to have hip hop anymore. That talks about twerking, teen pregnancy, the glorifying being a drug dealer. We're not going to have that anymore. We're going to boycott that. How about that? Because that's a race war in and of itself. Besides, since the people who are pushing these artists out here have a connection with the private prison industrial complex, that's a race war right there. But you guys don't want to fight that because that's your favorite rappers who are pushing death into your brains, and you don't care because that's the music you like. Don't talk to me about race war when race war's been happening for decades and you guys don't want to do a damn thing about it. Because if you were, that means there's some serious sacrifices you have to make. That means you're going to be calling out your favorite artists. You guys love R. Kelly. I want to make excuses. Well, the white man does it. Look at Jerry Lewis. Look at all these other people. Didn't you just say we live in a racist society? So what do you think is going to be the outcome with that? Well, I don't care. I want to still listen to R. Kelly. I don't care if he paid on a girl. I don't care. I love R. Kelly. Don't understand that this is part of the race war to brainwash you, to dehumanize you. Got black men wearing lingerie and dresses. Then saying, leave them alone. They're making their money. They're living the best life. Don't understand that's part of the race war. You guys make me sick. You guys really do. That's all I got for now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Later.